Your houseplants are slowly dying, and your heating system is the silent killer. Most indoor plants need 40 to 50% humidity to thrive, but your heating system and cooling system is robbing them blind, dropping levels to a devastating 20 to 30%. The result? Dead leaves, pests, infestations, and plants grasping for moisture. I'm Nick Federoff, radio's garden talk show host with nearly 40 decades solving plant problems. And I'm about to reveal 5 simple tricks that'll transform your indoor jungle. But first, click that like button and subscribe because what I'm sharing next could save your entire indoor plant collection. Plants need humidity, and they absorb the humidity through their leaves. And of course, we know that plants need sunlight so that you have the exchanges of starches and sugars and chlorophyll and all that. But what about houseplants? Houseplants, they need the same exact thing. It's just that they don't need it in high quantities. They can have smaller amounts of it. That's pretty much why we call them house plants. So they do have smaller leaves. I should say they have adaptations that they have so that they can absorb those kind of things without having direct sunlight to it. So you can have things like Dieffenbachia that have these big leaves. You can have philodendrons. You can have plants that are corn plants that are big leaf plants that use and can use smaller amounts of light. Cast iron plants. It's all great plants that you could have inside of your house, but they do need humidity. Now, we have a little bit of a challenge when it comes to humidity for indoor plants, and that would be heating and air conditioning. Because heating and air conditioning actually messes up with the plants because there's only 20 to 30% that is created from the heating and the air conditioning. That's it. It just pulls it out of the air and it makes it less humid for the plants, and that's not healthy. You see, those big leaf surfaces, what they have going for them, and especially underneath the leaf of the plant, they have these things called stomates, and those are the breathing apparatuses. And when you give the humidity all around the plant, those stomates will slurp up the humidity and it'll keep the plants looking good. Now, how do they keep looking good? Well, you're not going to get burnt leaves. You're not going to get spots. You're going to have less insect activity. You're going to have less disease activity. There's just a whole lot there that is part of the big scheme when it comes to humidity for plants. So most plants, when you purchase them from the nursery, they've probably come from a place that has anywhere between 50 to 80% humidity. That's a lot. So what we need to do is to replicate that. Now, I know this when you buy a plant from the store or even from the nursery, from a retail nursery, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, well, wait a minute, there's no humidity around here. It must be okay. No, you got to remember that there's a high turnover of the sale of those plants when you get them from the market or you get them from the nursery. They're buying them from the wholesaler, whom has them in greenhouses. I have not seen any house plants that have not been grown in greenhouses. As a matter of fact, if you go to my YouTube channel, you're going to see a couple of things that I did on orchids. A couple of shows I did on orchids. Just go over there. It's at Nick Federoff, okay? youtube.com/@NickFederoff. And what you're going to do is you're going to see these things. You're going to see that these plants were all in greenhouses. And we actually do talk about the humidity and what's necessary for the plants to grow properly because of that, what their needs are. Super duper important. Anyway, so that being said, We also have to understand that when we raise the humidity, not a whole lot, because there's places, I'll give you an example. I have a son that lives in Oregon. I was recently at his place, and he has a machine in his house that pulls the humidity out of the air. It actually pulls the moisture out of the air. And every so often, when the canister inside the machine fills up, it pushes it out through a hose into the sink. He's got all this humidity. It's a really amazing thing. So in parts of the country, you may have too much humidity, and you're going to want to adjust accordingly. So proper humidity not only helps the plants, but it helps in home care as well. Proper humidity will reduce static electricity. You know what I'm talking about. You go squishing over that carpet like that, and then you find somebody, some poor unsuspecting person, and then you touch them, and they get shocked and they jump out of their shoes. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's when you have less humidity in the air. So we want to put it in. The other thing is this, is that a little bit of humidity actually improves sleep. You will sleep better when you have a little bit of extra moisture in the air. Isn't that kind of a cool thing when you think about it? And plants will be there to help you out as well, because they transpire. That's a fancy word for sweating. And they're putting oxygen into the air. So the humidity is going to be helping the plants not only stay green, not get the spots, not get the insects, not get all that kind of stuff I talked about, but it's also going to be there so that the plants are able to transpire, give oxygen, keep you alive. What about that one right there, right? Okay, so it reduces all this stuff. And another thing it does is that it protects wood furniture. I'll give you an example of this. I happen to have a desert house. And in the summertime, the average temperature, well, probably about 5 months out of the year, average temperature is about it's 12,000 degrees. It is hot. I've actually been in that desert house to where I've taken and I've used a thermometer and what in the world? It's 127 degrees in this place. Yeah, it gets hot. Okay, so that right there draws the moisture outside of the air, that heat. So what do we got to do? We got to create humidity. We have to get misters. There's misters out on the market that you could spray. Absolutely beautiful. It does that. You have to do that several times a day. There's automatic ones. You just press a button and they're battery operated. Those work beautifully. You could get pebble trays, get big trays, put pebbles in there, fill them up with water. That's also a great thing to do for this. And then it'll evaporate, permeate through it up and through the plant. Just great. Group your plants together. Keeping the plants together, they're going to work off of each other. That's really important that they work off of each other. So by grouping them, you're doing a very good thing. And then you can get yourself a room humidifier that adds moisture to the room. Those are kind of cool to have as well. And then finally, you may want to get yourself a little device. It's called a hygrometer. Hygrometers sometimes are on thermometers anyhow. But get a hygrometer, get a test. I looked them up. They were only $10 for cheap and cheesy ones. You get it. Keep your moisture in your room 40 to 50% for best results. And that's what we do for indoor plant humidity.